We often treat personal finance like it's all about crunching numbers, finding some secret formula.
Yeah.
But think about it. How many times have you known what you should do with your money, but something else just took over?
Exactly. That something else is what we're really digging into today.
Mhm.
We're taking a close look at two, well, really influential books that tackle this intersection of our wallets and our minds in really powerful ways.
Right.
Consider this your kind of streamlined guide to understanding the core ideas.
Okay, so today on the table, we've got Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money
Great book.
and Ramit Sethi's I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
Hmm.
And our mission here is basically to pull out the most impactful insights from these works. The stuff that can truly reshape how you approach your finances.
Without getting totally bogged down in every single detail.
Exactly. Think of it as getting the crucial knowledge distilled.
And it's so relevant because your relationship with money, it's deeply personal, isn't it?
Totally.
No matter where you are on your financial journey, the ideas we'll explore, they offer really valuable lenses, ways to view your own situation and hopefully make more informed decisions.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Housel's The Psychology of Money. This book, it really unpacks the emotional, the behavioral drivers behind our financial choices. It makes such a strong case that succeeding with money isn't just about, being smart with numbers. It's about understanding your own behavior.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the fundamental concepts Housel's introduces is that no one's crazy.
Hmm.
What's so insightful there is the idea that our individual histories, our experiences, they profoundly shape how we see and interact with money.
Right.
So someone who lived through, say, hyperinflation firsthand, their approach to saving, to debt, it's going to be naturally very different than someone who grew up during a long economic boom.
That's so true. It's that idea, money isn't taught, it's lived.
Exactly.
Imagine someone, maybe their family faced bankruptcy. Their gut reaction might be, avoid any perceived risk, even if it means missing out on potential growth.
Yeah, completely risk averse.
Then think about someone who saw friends getting rich during a tech boom.
Mhm.
Their tolerance for volatility is probably much higher,
That's
right?
totally a different perspective.
And neither one is inherently irrational. They're both just rooted in lived experiences. And understanding this, I think, can make us more empathetic to others' financial choices.
Uh-huh. And more aware of our own biases, too.
Definitely.
Okay, so building on this, Housel explores the inseparable dance of luck and risk.
Ah, yes.
The example of Bill Gates is, well, it's a classic, isn't it? His brilliance, his hard work, totally undeniable. But his early, really rare access to a computer at such a pivotal time, that was also a significant stroke of fortune.
Right, being in the right place, right time.
And contrasting that with his friend Ken Evans, who tragically died young, it's a stark reminder that risk is always, always lurking. So the key insight here is maybe appreciate the role of chance in both the huge successes and the big failures.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of trying to chase someone else's, seemingly lucky break, it's probably more valuable to identify broad patterns, patterns of success and failure.
Right. Recognize that those extreme outcomes, they often involve a big element of luck or maybe extreme risk-taking.
Which makes them pretty unreliable guides for your own path.
Definitely. Another really powerful idea from Housel is never enough.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. He looks at our tendency to just keep redefining what enough means. Often it's fueled by social comparison, right? Looking at what others have.
Keeping up with the Joneses, basically.
Pretty much. And this can lead to perpetually chasing more, even when we've already achieved a comfortable level of financial security. Sometimes it drives us to take on way too much risk.
The Bernie Madoff story comes to mind there.
A chilling illustration, yeah, of that relentless pursuit, even when you already have so much.
So what's the practical takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, it seems crucial to define your own financial goals and figure out what enough actually means to you.
Because without that personal benchmark.
You're just constantly in a race with no finish line.
Makes sense.
Then we have the remarkable power of confounding compounding.
Ah, the magic of compound interest.
Right. Housel points out that our brains, they tend to think linearly, which makes it really hard to grasp the exponential growth that consistent returns can generate over long periods.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
Totally. Look at Warren Buffett's wealth. A huge chunk of it was accumulated much later in his life. It's a compelling example of time being just a critical ingredient in compounding.
The dumb Dan and smart Sally example really sticks with you too, doesn't it?
It does. Sally starts investing, a modest amount early on. Dan waits, maybe invests significantly more later.
But Sally often ends up way ahead.
Exactly. Because of that compounding magic, it really highlights that time in the market often beats trying to time the market.
So true.
Housel also makes this vital distinction between getting wealthy and staying wealthy.
Interesting. Two different skill sets.
Seems like it. The skills needed to accumulate wealth, maybe optimism, a willingness to take calculated risks, they seem different from those required to preserve it.
What could be more like?
Humility, maybe? Frugality. A healthy dose of caution, or as Housel puts it, paranoia.
Right.
The core lesson here is just the importance of long-term survival in the financial game. Avoiding the big mistakes can be more impactful than chasing every single potential high return.
And speaking of returns, that chapter, Tails, You Win. That explains how, in many investments, like venture capital or even the stock market, a small number of really significant wins often drive the vast majority of the overall returns.
Right, so it's okay to have setbacks, even losses along the way. Market data shows, a substantial percentage of individual stocks can lose a lot of value.
Yeah, some go to zero.
Yeah, exactly. Yet the overall market index keeps rising over time, really propelled by those exceptional performers, those tails.
So what's fascinating is that you don't actually need to be right on every single investment pick.
Not at all. Your ability to just hold on, let your winners run, that can be far more important than trying to avoid every potential loser.
Okay, let's talk about something I think we all value deeply. Freedom. Housel argues pretty convincingly that the ultimate benefit of money isn't just buying more stuff.
Although they can be nice.
Sure. But the real dividend is the control it gives you over your time and your life choices.
That really resonates. You see studies showing that a sense of autonomy, of control, is a huge factor in overall well-being.
And money, when you manage it wisely, it provides that autonomy, doesn't it?
It does. Gives you the flexibility to handle unexpected life stuff, or maybe pursue opportunities that really align with your values, not just the ones that pay the most right now.
Now, in a kind of thought-provoking twist, Housel introduces the man-in-the-car paradox.
Ah, yes. In wealth is what you don't see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We often think, buying expensive possessions will impress people. But in reality,
Yeah.
they're usually just noticing the stuff itself.
They admire the car, not necessarily the person driving it.
Right. And true wealth, Housel argues, is the savings, the investments, the stuff that isn't necessarily on public display.
That's such a crucial distinction. Spending lavishly might give you a fleeting bit of social validation.
Maybe.
But it's also money that's no longer working to build your future security and freedom.
Okay, shifting gears slightly to decision-making. Housel makes this compelling argument for being reasonable, rational.
Tell me more about that.
He suggests that financial strategies you can actually realistically stick with, even if they aren't. Like, the absolute most mathematically optimal are often the better choice in the long run.
So like paying off a low-interest mortgage early just for peace of mind.
Exactly. Even if the pure numbers suggest investing that money elsewhere might yield more. If paying it off helps you sleep better at night, that can be a perfectly reasonable decision.
That really acknowledges the powerful role our emotions play, doesn't it?
Totally.
A theoretically perfect plan that causes you constant anxiety. Well, you're probably not going to follow it consistently anyway. Sustainability is key.
And tied into that is the importance of room for error.
Ah, the margin of safety.
Yes. Housel emphasizes needing that financial buffer, like having a solid emergency fund. He puts it so well. The most important part of every plan is planning on your plan, not going according to plan.
Love that quote. It's so true. Life happens.
It does.
And that margin of safety, it lets you weather unexpected storms, job loss, medical bill, whatever, without completely derailing your whole financial progress.
It's about building resilience, avoiding being wiped out by just one unforeseen event.
Makes sense.
Because, as Housel reminds us in You'll Change,
Yeah.
our goals, our priorities, they evolve, don't they, as we go through life?
Absolutely. The things you want in your 20s are often very different from your 40s or 60s.
So a rigid financial plan you create today might not align at all with the person you become in the future. Flexibility has to be built in.
Definitely. Then there's the seduction of pessimism.
Right. Why does bad news always sound smarter?
Housel explains why negative financial forecasts often sound more credible, more intellectual somehow, even though, historically speaking, long-term optimism has generally been the more accurate stance, certainly in markets.
We just seem psychologically wired to give more weight to bad news, maybe.
Seems that way. Fear is a powerful motivator.
And finally, Housel kind of wraps things up with you and me,
Yeah, bringing it back to the individual.
highlighting that everyone, absolutely everyone, is playing a different financial game. We all have our own unique goals, different timelines, different risk tolerances.
So comparing your financial journey to someone else's, it's not just unhelpful, it can be actively misleading.
Right. Focus on your own path, your own game.
That provides a really fantastic, comprehensive look at the psychological side of things, the mindset, as Housel lays it out.
Yeah, really powerful concepts.
Okay, so maybe now let's turn our attention to Ramit Sethi and his book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which, offers a much more action-oriented, systems-based approach.
Right. Very practical. Sethi starts by really urging you, the listener, to define what a rich life truly means to you.
Which is key. It's not just about accumulating a certain pile of money.
No. It's about creating a life that's genuinely filled with the things you value most, whatever those might be: travel, hobbies, time with family.
And this personalized vision, that's the foundation of his whole approach.
Huh.
By focusing on what genuinely brings you joy and fulfillment. The necessary financial steps like saving, investing, managing debt, they become tools to achieve that rich life. They don't feel so much like restrictive sacrifices.
That makes sense. It reframes the why.
Exactly.
So to help you get there, Sethi introduces this concept of conscious spending.
Which sounds like budgeting, but it's different, isn't it?
It really is. It's explicitly not about deprivation or like meticulous tracking of every single penny. Instead, it's about intentionally, consciously spending generously, even extravagantly, on the things you absolutely love.
Nice.
And then ruthlessly cutting back, like mercilessly, on the things you don't really care about. It's quite a refreshing alternative to traditional budgeting.
I like the sound of that. Spend big on what matters, cut hard on what doesn't.
Precisely. And the framework for this is his conscious spending plan, the CSP.
Okay, remind us how that breaks down again.
Sure. It involves allocating your after-tax income into 4 main buckets. First, fixed costs, housing, utilities, car payments, that kind of stuff. Ideally, 50–60%.
Okay, that's the bulk of it.
Then, investments critically important, at least 10%. Savings goals maybe for a down payment, a wedding, 5–10%.
Got it.
And then, guilt-free spending. This is a significant chunk, 20–35%, specifically for enjoying life now.
Guilt-free. I like that term.
Me too. The key here is mindful allocation, aligned with your priorities. You decide where it goes.
And Sethi uses some relatable examples, right, to show how things can get out of whack.
Yeah, he does. Someone like Kathleen and Forrest might find their fixed costs are just eating up way too much income, leaving almost nothing for investing or fun.
Squeezed by the essentials.
Or conversely, April and Kevin might realize their guilt-free spending has kind of ballooned without them noticing, crowding out savings goals.
Right. The CSP provides that structure to actually see where the money's going and address those imbalances.
Yeah, it shifts the focus. From restriction, like, I can't have that, to intentionality. I choose to spend here, not there.
Because it aligns with what truly matters to you.
Exactly.
Now, a core principle in Sethi's whole philosophy is focus on big wins.
Yes. Love sweating the small stuff.
Right. Instead of obsessing over, like, the $3 latte question.
Which gets so much attention.
It does. He advocates concentrating your energy on high-impact actions. Things like automating your finances, negotiating your salary, optimizing major recurring costs like rent or insurance.
He calls it tackling the $30,000 questions, not the $3 questions.
Love that framing. Where can you make the biggest difference with the least ongoing effort?
Which leads directly to his really strong emphasis on automating your finances.
This is huge in his system.
Totally. Sethi gives really detailed guidance on setting up automatic transfers, money moving between your checking, savings, investment accounts.
And automating bill payments, too.
Right. Ideally happening shortly after each payday, before you even have a chance to spend it elsewhere.
This automation piece, it really is a game changer, isn't it?
It is. It saves you time, saves mental energy.
No more remembering to transfer money.
Exactly. It ensures consistency in your saving and investing month after month, and it takes the emotion out of it. You're less tempted to skip a contribution if the market looks scary or whatever.
He even suggests a practical timeline, right? Like setting up transfers around the 5th of the month.
Yeah, just getting it done routinely. And for people with variable income, which is common, he advises building up a decent buffer in your checking account first, just to make sure those automated systems run smoothly even in leaner months.
Smart. And the beauty of it all, once it's set up,
Yeah.
that guilt-free spending money really can be guilt-free because you know your savings, your investments, your bills, they're already handled automatically.
Such a freeing feeling.
Hmm. Now, echoing Housel's point about the power of time,
Right, compounding again.
Sethi also hammers home the power of starting early with investing. He highlights the massive advantages of compounding, especially inside tax-advantaged retirement accounts.
Like 401ks and Roth IRAs.
Exactly. And that Dumb Dan and Smart Sally example, it really reinforces this crucial message just as much in Sethi's practical context. Start now, even if it's small.
Absolutely. Debt repayment is another critical area he tackles.
Yeah, you can't really build wealth effectively if you're drowning in high-interest debt.
Right. Sethi urges readers to get aggressive about tackling debt. Avoid that trap of only making minimum payments.
Because that can keep you in debt for decades.
He uses the example of, I think, Amy and Tori, who, if they stuck to the minimums on their credit cards, would literally be paying them off into their 70s.
Wow. That's a powerful wake-up call. He also briefly touches on things like negotiating lower interest rates or seeking credit counseling if you're really stuck.
Yeah, taking proactive steps.
And Sethi provides a helpful kind of overview of key investment vehicles, too.
He does. The basics you need to know.
Like 401k, emphasizing the free money of an employer match.
Always take the match.
Absolutely. And the potential, sometimes, to access principal contributions penalty-free in certain situations, then Roth IRAs.
Post-tax money goes in.
Tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals in retirement, huge benefit. Health savings accounts, HSAs.
If you have a high-deductible health plan.
That unique triple tax advantage.
Yeah.
Tax deduction going in, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals from medical expenses. Amazing. And, of course, regular taxable brokerage accounts for investing beyond retirement funds.
He also underscores the basics of asset allocation, how you divide investments between stocks, bonds, cash.
And diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Standard, but crucial advice.
And circling back to those big wins, Sethi really emphasizes the often overlooked power of negotiation.
Not just for salary.
No, salary's huge, obviously, but also things like negotiating lower bank fees, maybe getting a better rate on your car insurance. These seemingly small actions can add up to a really significant long-term impact.
It's fascinating, actually, to see how Housel's idea, that sort of balancing optimism and paranoia, how that kind of relates to Sethi's practical approach. You know, the aggressive saving and investing he pushes for, that's the paranoid prepare for the future part.
Right.
Coupled with that explicit permission for guilt-free spending, which is maybe the optimistic enjoy life now part.
Yeah.
It's almost like a practical way to live out Housel's balanced mindset.
That's a great connection. Okay, so as we bring these two perspectives together, Housel's psychology and Sethi's systems, we can really see how they complement each other, can't we?
Definitely. The psychological understanding from Housel can really strengthen your ability to stick with the practical systems advocated by Sethi.
How so? Give an example.
Well, take Housel's concept of the price of returns, basically. Accepting that market volatility is just the normal cost of admission for earning long-term growth.
Okay.
Understanding that psychologically can give you the emotional resilience you need to stick with Sethi's automated investment plan, even when the market takes a nosedive. You don't panic sell.
Right. You understand it's part of the process.
Exactly. And Housel's emphasis on the ultimate goal being financial freedom.
Control over your time.
That aligns perfectly with Sethi's focus on designing a rich life that prioritizes what truly matters to you, not just accumulating wealth for its own sake or for comparison.
And both authors, they really underscore the critical importance of long-term thinking, don't they? And patience. This isn't get-rich-quick stuff.
Not at all. It's about achieving meaningful, sustainable financial well-being over time.
Ultimately, I think both books really encourage you, the listener, to take control. Understand your own motivations, your own psychology, like Housel says, and then build systems that support your individual goals, like Sethi advocates. Focus on your own financial game. Design your own unique, rich life.
Well put. So to kind of wrap up our deep dive here, we've explored how Housel's work illuminates that crucial role of psychology in all our financial decisions.
The why behind what we do.
Exactly. While Sethi provides a really practical, actionable framework for building systems that automate our finances and help align our spending with our actual values.
And both perspectives, the psychological and the practical, they feel essential for building a financial life that's both sustainable and ultimately fulfilling.
Yeah, you kind of need both, don't you?
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Building wealth and financial security, it's definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. It requires self-awareness, knowing yourself,
Mm.
a well-thought-out system,
Yeah.
and probably the ability to adapt when things inevitably change along the way.
Because they always do.
They always do. So as you consider all these ideas we've talked about, maybe take some time to reflect on your own financial beliefs, your habits, your behaviors.
Yeah, what emotions come up for you when you think about money?
Ah.
Fear, excitement, avoidance?
And what does your personal vision of a rich life truly look like? Get specific. It's probably different from mine or yours.
Good prompts. And maybe for some actionable next steps.
Yeah.
Consider implementing just 1 or 2 automation steps from Sethi's playbook this week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe automate saving for a specific goal or increase your 401k contribution by 1%. Small step.
Or just spend maybe 30 minutes honestly tracking where your money actually went last month. That can be really eye-opening.
Definitely. And of course, if these concepts have sparked your interest, delving into the full versions of The Psychology of Money and I Will Teach You to Be Rich would be a fantastic next move.
Highly recommend both. Okay, so finally, maybe a thought to leave you with. Are you actively, consciously designing your financial life to maximize your freedom and your control over your own time? Or are you perhaps being swayed, maybe unconsciously, by external pressures, by consumerism, by fleeting desires?
That's a good question.
And related to that, are you truly prepared, psychologically prepared, as Housel might say, for the inevitable ups and downs, the price of admission that comes with pursuing your long-term financial goals? Worth pondering.